I'm about to head into the kitchen to experiment more with egg white bread, with adding in egg yolks to the egg white bread batter after it's all mixed. So I'll be doing the whole regular egg white bread recipe, and if you haven't seen the original video of mine on that, I will put that up in the cards. But it starts with egg whites, allulose, salt, and cream of tartar, and after that's all whipped up into stiff peaks, then I add in the egg white powder, and I'm gonna mix that in, and then at the end, mix in the egg yolks. So after I did my last experiment with the whole egg powder, I did try doing a loaf with the egg white powder and adding in the egg yolks, because I was like, well, maybe I'll just get the exact same result as I got with the whole egg powder. So I figured out how many yolks basically were in the amount of whole egg powder that I used in the recipe, and I figured it out to be about 6 egg yolks worth. So I tried a loaf where I made the regular egg white bread, added in 6 egg yolks at the end, and actually got quite a different result than I got with the egg powder, the whole egg powder. With the whole egg powder, the batter started to deflate as soon as I put the powder in, and I was worried that that was going to make the texture really bad, but it actually was fine. The loaf itself was smaller. It didn't keep the big rise that it gets when I just do the egg white powder, but it didn't make the texture bad at all. In fact, the texture was actually really, really good. The interesting thing though was when I did the egg white bread and then added the whole yolks at the end, 6 of them, the batter didn't deflate. And so I felt like I got a really nice high loaf, and I was excited. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get the height of the loaf and still get a really good texture from the egg yolks. But what happened was, I think that it rose too much while it was baking, and I have some pictures I'll put in here where it just kind of like made this crazy shape. I don't know if it was because there was more batter overall, because I did add in, you know, extra yolks on top of what is already in there. I don't really know what all went into it, but I didn't like how it rose so much, and then I felt like it deflated more as it was cooling. So my idea is that this time when I add in the yolks at the end, I'm gonna just mix them in with the mixer instead of trying to be really careful and fold them in really gently, because I kind of want the batter to deflate a little bit like it did with the egg powder, and because I think if it deflates as batter, it doesn't deflate as much when it's cooling after it's cooked. That's my hypothesis, I guess. So that's what I'm gonna try first off, and I also want to experiment with the number of egg yolks that will work best and give me the best result. I did the 6 egg yolks, and I didn't like how high it rose and stuff, but the texture of the bread was actually really good. So I don't think that's bad, but I'm thinking I might just try 4 egg yolks first, see how that goes with the, you know, mixing them in not very gently and seeing if the batter will deflate a little bit for me. And so that'll be my first loaf, and then we'll go from there. Okay, same ingredients as always. I've got my 12 liquid egg whites here. I'm gonna do half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of allulose, and then at the end add in 80 grams of the egg white powder, which equals a cup, and then my 4 egg yolks. All right, now adding in the egg white powder and the yolks. 80 grams of egg white powder. I'm gonna mix that in first and then put in the egg yolks. All right, well that's going slowly. I'm gonna add these egg yolks in. I'm gonna turn it up to level 4. Doesn't look like it's deflating too much. I might turn it up just a little bit more. All right, I think I'm gonna call that good. I don't know if it really deflated much, but it looks pretty nice, so I'm just gonna call it good. I'm going to spray with avocado oil as always. Still pretty floofy. It did not deflate as much as the whole egg powder bread for sure. My oven is preheated, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in. As far as cook time, I have found that whenever I do anything with the yolks added, whole egg powder or yolks, the cook time has been 45 minutes. So that's what I'm going to set my timer for. Oh my goodness, it looks beautiful. It's been going for about 15 minutes and hasn't done that massive crack thing that the other one did. So far so good. It's been resting in the oven for 30 minutes after I turned it off, and I spoke too soon about it cracking. It's not as crazy as the last one, but it definitely still cracked and got a big slit in it. I think next time I may just try putting less batter in the pan and see if that makes a difference. It might just be too much batter. And then with the extra lift from the egg yolks as they cook, it just might be too much. I'm gonna let this cool and then I will take it out and slice it and see what we got on the inside. The sides shrunk in just a little bit, more than with the whole egg powder, which is interesting, but not terrible. Still definitely usable, although it is the mushroom shape. Ooh, it's not cooked. Uh-oh. Yeah, up here is still gooey. That's a bummer, because I cooked it for 45 minutes, the same as usual. Well, it looks like this loaf is going to become French toast. So for this second loaf, which will be my last loaf of the day because I only had 2 dozen eggs when I started, for this one I am going to do the same recipe. I think 4 egg yolks is probably a good amount, and but what I'm going to do is just fill up my pan less and see if I get that same cracking on the top, and I'll just use any leftover batter in one of my like hoagie pans or French bread pans. I'm going to add the yolks in with the egg white powder this time to see if that's fine. It just makes it a little easier. And so if this ends up being like a regular recipe that I do, I might just adjust the ingredients so that it just makes less batter, so I don't have extra. It's just enough to fill up the loaf as much as I need it filled up. So we'll see just how it goes. One thing to keep in mind when you're making the bread with the whole egg powder or adding egg yolks is you can't do a second batch, you know, with the dirty bowl and mixer or beater. You have to get those cleaned in between each batch, which is the only downside I'm finding. All right, I think I'm just gonna leave it like that, and then I might be able to make 2 rolls here. Okay, into the oven these go, and since this is smaller, I am going to check it at 30 minutes instead of the 45. I pulled out the buns at about 26 minutes and they look pretty good. They didn't rise a lot, but they look nice and soft and tasty. But look at how beautiful that looks. The other side kind of cracked up a little bit, but this side just looks so gorgeous. Let's see. No, actually it doesn't look too bad. That's what it's looking like, but it's not quite done. So I'm gonna set the timer for 15 more minutes, but I'll be checking it. Look at how beautiful this loaf turned out. I think this is gonna be a winner. So here's what it looks like out of the pan, and you can see the sides did sink in some, which is a bummer, but besides that, it looks pretty nice. The slices are gonna come out nicely for, you know, sandwiches and stuff because they're not so weirdly shaped. Hopefully it'll be cooked all the way through. It feels like it is. This one, I'm not sure why it didn't cook all the way through up here. Sometimes it just has to do with the humidity in the air and it just never quite cooks perfectly. Like down here, it's all the way cooked. It's just like up here that's not quite as, it's just a little bit doughy still. But this will make great French toast. I'm gonna give this a slice and see how it is. Yeah, this one's cooked all the way through and it's fine. Looks pretty good.
It's amazing. They look like bread stairs.
Bread stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Just imagine a little guy just walking up the stairs.
Walking up the stairs, huh? All right, quick taste test of this one. It's not bad. It's actually very similar to just the regular egg white bread. I feel like my favorite so far that I've made, out of all the different variations I've made, the one with the whole egg powder is the best. This one's fine and it's a little moister than like the regular egg white bread, but not by a lot. But it's a solid loaf of bread. It's not bad. So interesting experiment, not quite the perfect results I was hoping for. I would love to find something that doesn't sink in on the sides like this. And when I did the whole egg powder, it did not sink in on the sides. And I think that was because it deflated a little bit before baking. And I think that kept the sides from sinking in. So I'm not sure if there's a way that I can recreate that with the egg white powder, but I'll keep working on different variations, and I think we learned some stuff here. Thanks so much for joining me on this egg white bread plus yolk experiment. Let me know if you've experimented with adding yolks back and if you found something that works really well that you like. I would love to hear it down in the comments, and I will see you again in another video.
Bye, Mom.
Bye! Am I leaving? No, I was just saying bye to our friends on the video.
Yeah.
I'll see you again in another video. Bye!